Today we are going to take a trip through another form, the fugue. Not a true form, the fugue is a process of operations for creating a work called a fugue. It's more like a recipe than a map for the composition. Let's get started. The undisputed master of fugues was J.S. Bach. He was so well versed in them he could improvise them for a party trick. Bach wrote a great number of fugues, some in his larger works like the B minor Mass, other in collections such as the Well-Tempered Clavier. As we explore the fugue today, we will be delving into one of Bach's fugues from his first book of the Well-Tempered Clavier, his Fugue No. 2 in C minor. Today's recording is performed on the harpsichord by Martha Goldstein. At its base, a fugue is an exercise in contrapuntal writing. Counterpoint is the relationship between two or more musical lines or voices that are harmonically interdependent, yet independent in rhythm and melodic contour. Each line has its direction and focus, but they still line up vertically to create harmony. In Bach fugues, he had between 3 and 6 voices. Counterpoint is a polyphonic texture which consists of 2 or more simultaneous lines of independent melody. The heyday of the fugue was the Baroque period, where it fused the polyphonic writing of the Renaissance with a newfound structure of tonality. The fugue is built off a principal theme called the subject. It is usually presented alone at the top of the fugue. In Bach's C minor fugue, we get this subject, starting on the tonic note of C. The subject is composed of a head and a tail, both used in the fugue as separate elements later in the work. The next statement of the subject is not at the same tonal level as the first statement. It is usually at the dominant. Because of this, it's called the answer, since it replies to the first subject in a different tonal area. This sets up the tension in the form, where these two statements of the subject are at odds of one another. There are 2 different types of answers, real and tonal. A real answer follows the specific pattern of whole steps and half steps in the original statement, regardless of key. A tonal answer has a few changes to the statement to help it fit into the key more easily. In Bach's C minor fugue, the answer is real, as you can see by the use of A instead of A flat. Running alongside the answer is the counter subject, or a slice of counterpoint that meshes with the subject that comes back when we hear the subject or is developed further in the fugue. The C minor fugue has one running in 16th notes that turns into 8th notes. The third voice comes in with the subject at the tonic again. This closes out the exposition. An exposition must have a statement of the subject in each voice in the fugue to be complete. The fugue continues with 2 parts, statements of the subject, and parts where there is no subject, called episodes. These episodes can go into different keys and develop parts for the head or the tail of the subject or the counter subject. These episodes contain free counterpoint when there is no material from any subject in the composition. The composer is free to do several things with the subject. The composer can change it through augmentation, where the note lengths get longer, like a change from 8th notes to quarter notes. The composer can also use diminution, where the note lengths get faster, like going from half notes to quarter notes. The composer can also use inversion, where the subject's intervals are turned upside down, leading to new material and key areas. A composer can also build up intensity by using stretto, or canon of the subject, by starting the subject in other voices before it is finished in the primary voice. In the C minor fugue, Bach just takes the 16th notes of the counter subject and the head motive of the subject and develops them. fugue, there are one or more statements of the subject, usually in the tonic key, sometimes over a dominant or tonic pedal. Any material during or after the final statement of the subject is considered a coda and is usually cadential. In Bach's C minor fugue, there is one more statement of the subject in the upper voice, in the same range as the original statement at the beginning of the fugue. Thank you for joining me in this adventure through the fugue. I hope that you learned something. I know I always do. My bibliography for this episode can be found on my website, dominiqueroyam.com. I've put a link in the description box below. Also in the description box is a link to my Patreon, where you can support the making of these videos. Examples in today's video were made with Noteflight, a web-native music writing service. I'll put a link in the description box. Don't forget to like this video and leave a comment. Tell me what you would like to learn about next. Thank you so much and see you in my next video.